Yo, what's going on guys, it's Tom, welcome back to a brand new video, and this is the first of hopefully a season long of episodes that I'll be bringing you guys, and this is the Nebula Racing League of Turn 16 on rFactor, and hopefully, like I said, I can bring you guys a season long amount of highlights, because last season, which was my first season, I only brought you guys 2 races, and those were the only 2 semi-decent races I had all season, because I was just a bit of a rookie really in the day. It was my first ever season of just racing on rFactor. I'd never raced before, so now I'm well into the groove of it. I know how to do the job. And this season I'm going for the World Drivers' Championship, and one of my main rivals is the man alongside me on the left hand side of your screen, as you can see there in the Ferrari, Craig Baxter, last season's champion, and he's going to be defending his crown this season. And we've got a very competitive grid this season with 4, 5, even 6 drivers who can mix it up for the World Drivers' Championship, so things are going to get very, very tasty here. And as you can see, I've qualified on pole position for the first race of the season as the last cars just get to the back of the grid. But here we go, we're going to gear up to 5 red lights for the Australian Grand Prix, round 1 of Nebula, and we're going to get underway right about now as the lights go out. And so far, pretty poor start from me off the line, having loads of wheel spin, which is not helping me out as Craig goes a lot up the inside. There's been a huge crash in the background. Also, Max Shepard's having a look around the outside, Craig's teammate. But so far, I'm going to hold off Mac and drop in a second place just behind Craig, by getting a much better exit on the exit of turn 2 and just quickly swamp around the outside of Craig to try and retake my lead. And now I go defensive straight away into turn 3, and there's another huge crash, a massive pile up there in the background, and the 4, 5, 6 cars involved there. But me and Craig have managed to get away unscathed and are already starting to run away with it at the front as I've retaken my lead, and Craig is hot on my heels as we go midway into lap number 1. And so far, a pretty decent start to the race. I managed to recover from my initial mistake. I made up for it, and Craig is not going to let it go though. He's going to be right on the back of me. He's going to be wanting to overtake me and try and win this race. Craig is very known in the league for once he gets into the lead, it's very hard to beat him. So he generally likes to really establish the pace up front. So the longer I can keep Craig behind, the better for me. But here we go on the back straight for the first time this race. Craig's going to have a look around the outside. Can he make the move stick into the fast chicane for the first time this race? No, he doesn't, and that would have been a bit of a stupid move to make this early on this race. So Craig thinking sensibly there and thinking better of it and leaving it for later on in the race. As you can see, so far I'm holding my lead quite nicely as we skip later on onto the end of lap 5 and onto the start line number 6. As you can see, Craig so far is actually dropping back a little bit, as is his teammate Max Shepard, and the gaps are looking fairly equal now between the top 4 more or less as we go on to the start of lap number 6. And now it's going to be a question of when the pit stops are going to come, and right now both me and Craig are on the super softs, as you can see on the screen right now. However, the tyres are glitched, so whenever we change tyres you won't be able to see what happens. And speaking of pit stops, as you can see, Craig Bax is actually going to come in for the first pit stop of the race, and he was getting a bit frustrated behind me in the dirt here, and he's decided to have enough, and he's going to come in for a set of mediums, I can tell you, and he's going to try and go for the undercut, as will his teammate Max Shepard, who also came in behind him, if you saw, just down the back of the pit lane there. But now skipping later on, exactly 1 lap later, I am responding to Craig straight away, and I'm going to follow his strategy and go onto the mediums, and going to get the slower tyre out of the way first, to hopefully go into the softs at the end and hopefully be faster on that tyre. And as you can see, it's going to be really close now between the two of us. Here comes Craig around the final corner. It's going to be a question of where we're going to both feed out on track. As Craig comes down the pit straight now, we're going to go on board with him. And as you can see, I'm on the right hand side there of your screen, going into turn number 1 now. I'm going to try and take the inside line, take the racing line. Craig's going to try and look around the outside, but there's no room there as I squeeze him out onto the AstroTurf. And Craig had a little bit of a tank slapper there on the exit, just rejoining the track there, and the back end just not sticking to the track at all. But now skipping later on onto lap 13, onto the end of lap 13 should I say, and I'm really struggling for pace on these mediums. And Craig, as you can see, he's literally sitting on my gearbox, and Craig is ready to pounce and make a move, and I'm really struggling on these white wall mediums, like I said. And Craig's actually going to go for the dive up the inside of turn 14 as we go side by side onto the apex. Craig squeezes me out there, and I almost spin out, rejoining the track there. The car really snapping on me on the power there, and Craig is actually going to take the lead of the race. And at the time, I was really furious with that move. I thought Craig really just completely ran me off the track. But looking at it back, you know, you could sort of class as a bit of a race incident. I'd be interested to see what you guys think of the incident, but I think I'll probably give like a pass. I was pissed off at the time, but watching it back, I was quite happy to let that one go. But at the time, I was absolutely furious in the cockpit. As you can see, I'm locking up and pushing really hard into the first corner as we go on board with me now into turn number 3. And can I return the favour to Craig here? I'm going to try and pick up some slipstream, and we're going to try and go for the inside of Craig here. There's contact, and I actually hit Craig off there, and I could have taken into the race, but I decided to back off and just give Craig the position back, because I felt that was a bit too stupid from me there. A very rash move from me, and I just completely smacked his side pod. And because of that incident, we actually both picked up some damage, and I think Craig picked up some right side pod damage, and I picked up some left side pod / left front damage. So there was some damage in both of the incidents there, and both of our cars were a little bit hurt. And as you see, meanwhile, Craig has come into the pits now for his second pit stop of the race, second and final pit stop of the race, should I add, because he's going into the softs now for the final stint of the race. And I'm going to try and go for the overcut mediums and hope that that's paid off. As you see, the skies meanwhile are starting to get a bit darker, so track temperature will be dropping here at Albert Park as we come into the pit box for a set of soft tyres, and we're going to rejoin onto the track. But as you can see, it's a very long pit stop here, and this is where I messed up because unfortunately, because of the damage that I said that I had, I didn't untick the option. So the pit crew, as far as they were concerned, they were just fixing my damage on my car, and I completely forgot to say no, don't do it, and I've lost like 6 seconds because that was like a 9-second long pit stop, and Craig is miles ahead up the road, and we've potentially thrown away any chance we had at a race win this race by doing that. So a very stupid move from me there, and I just really did not remember to do the change, and that really did affect me. However, later on in the race, as you can see, there's spray kicking up from my car. Rain did start to come down in Albert Park. However, it wasn't particularly heavy, and we was going to get away actually with the dry tyres, and there was no need for intermediates. However, Craig on lap 27 did get caught out by the rain. As you see, he has a bit of a half spin there, quadratic half spin, which sort of reduced the gap from about 6 seconds down to 2 seconds, and there I am in the background. And it was at this time for the last 2 or so laps, as you can see, I caught Craig and I was pushing really hard, but then my engine started to cut out and I realised I was out of fuel, and at this point I straight away put it into 7th gear and I started to coast because the gap that me and Craig had to the rest of the field was absolutely huge. And at this point I was just cruising along in 7th gear, using the clutch and just coasting, because if I could just bring this car to the end I would have guaranteed points. So unfortunately the problem with this was I literally had 0.2, which is basically nothing. You needed like 3.4 to make a lap in terms of litres, and I had 0.2. I had literally no fuel left in the tank, and unfortunately, eventually I would coast to a dead end about 3 corners from the end of the race, which is very unfortunate. But unfortunately, I ran out of fuel. I got too excited by the prospect of possibly re-overtaking Craig in the dying laps of the race, and I got completely carried away by the fuel. And I can tell you that literally 3 laps before the end of the race, when I checked my fuel, I was absolutely fine. But the problem was I cranked up the engine to the absolute max to try and catch Craig, and it really did backfire on me, and it's a very unfortunate turn of events. And as you can see, my engine obviously did conk out, so I just stopped on track and there was nothing I could do. But hopefully you guys did appreciate the race and just how good it was. I was really gutted at the time, the fact that I ran out of fuel, and it was just heart-wrenching for me to literally, I was like 4 corners off from 18 points at least in the World Drivers' Championship, and I'm going to come in with nothing. But nevertheless, hopefully you guys did enjoy round 1 of the Nebula highlights here at Albert Park, and it was a very disappointing race for me, like I said. But if you're new around here, then please do be sure to subscribe to my channel, and if you enjoyed the video, please do smash that like button. I'd really appreciate if you guys can maybe hit 80 likes. It lets me know that you have enjoyed the video and that you're enjoying this format. But nevertheless, like I said, hopefully enjoy the video, guys, and I've been TonsMHD, and I'll see you in my next one very soon. Goodbye.
How could this happen to me? I made my mistakes, got nowhere to run.
Why? 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 Why?